Welcome to Weekly Market News. Today is Monday, 19th of July, and we are ready to begin the new week, which is going to be quite challenging for stock markets as we are beginning the Monday session with another slump, which added to a sequence of another losing streak that right now the S&P 500 and other stock indices in the US are on. If we are going to talk about the reasons and the catalyst for the recent moves, we must talk about the earnings season, which brought us some of the reports for Q2 of the American banks with the names like J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citibank. Most of the time, most of the banks that reported their earnings reported better than expected earnings, which wasn't met with some positivity from the investors. And you can see that the saying on the markets, buy the rumors, sell the news, and with the news, you can clearly see that the news are very good results, solid results for the Q2. We have opportunity to make a correction here on the stock markets here in the United States, which was mainly also supported by the fact that the stock indices were on the record highs. So there is time for a correction. More or less, the short-term, near-term outlook is still quite positive for the markets. The slump may continue because we have another earnings season, and it will be interesting to see how the markets will react to some other names they are scheduled to report this week. About the economic news from the last week, one of the most interesting data was inflation data for last month, for the month of June, which unexpected speed up to levels above 5%. So the CPI is above 5%. Also, the core CPI has risen a little bit, which is more or less some of the temporary inflation pressures that we can see and we can feel right now in the markets, and should not really make some basement for the long-term inflation pressures. And what's most important, those inflation pressures do not seem to be out of the excessive monetary and fiscal stimulus and the spending overall. So those are the things that are closely tied to the economic recovery and the economic reopening, and mostly it's the fact that the segment that has seen the biggest rise in prices was used cars and used vehicles, used trucks, which flooded the market last year, as many of the companies, rental companies, for example, Hertz, must have had to file for bankruptcy, and basically some of their cars, used cars and truck and vehicles, flood the market, and that put some downwards pressures on the prices of those vehicles. If you look at the other stock indices in the United States, you can see Dow Jones was again one of the markets that was holding up to those gains, but you can see the third Friday and the Monday session is not looking very good for the markets. Nasdaq also led by the slump in prices of Nvidia or Amazon. Also, probably heard Virgin Galactic and Richard Branson reached the space and is ready to start the commercial flying. But the company is more or less not making any profits yet, so we would have to wait for that. And right now is it's kind of a story stock. So the investors right now are not interested that much in the story, and they want to see the real results, the real prices. There's even a contest right now going on, so you can all participate and win 2 tickets to space on the first commercial flight space from Virgin Galactic. But since then, since the end of the last week, when Richard Branson reached the space, the price of the stock is basically in the free fall, and it's falling towards the ground. So hopefully those rockets will not follow with the people on board, and everything will go much smoother. So that's about the stock markets last week. If you look at the earnings seasons that is scheduled to be this month, you can see that we have quite many interesting names to schedule their reports, earnings for the Q2. Let's look at some of them in just a second. You have on Monday, just after close, IBM is going to report their earnings. Tuesday, Netflix, United Airlines, Chipotle, Coca-Cola, Johnson Johnson, Verizon. What else we have? AT&T, Intel, Snapchat, Twitter. Also many companies from the retail sector, which is going to tell us how the spending is getting back. And on Friday, American Express or Honeywell, also those very two interesting companies, and many more. So it will be very busy earning week, and yeah, let's wait and see how the market will react. Since so far, many of those companies in the Q4 last year and the Q1 this year, they exceeded the expectation. Everything seems very positive. So let's see how this Q2 will play out. Euro USD more or less under pressure from the heavy pressure from US dollar, which is right now breaking through the previous low here on 117.72. Also creating a descending triangle. So the break, if it will happen, probably will continue to 117 down here. Supported by the many things overall. Inflation pressures, like I said before, coming with the fact of probably tightening monetary policy and the doubts over it. So that's also putting pressure on the euro and also creating demand for US dollar. If you look at the crude oil, also very interesting last few sessions on the markets, as we had very huge doubts over the OPEC agreement, if it will even happen. There was also some back and forth between Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, which all overall led to some pre-agreement, and suddenly we are in the very interesting slump here, which is supported by the agreement from OPEC, which is ready to pump 400,000 barrels a day more each month until the end of the year. And by September 2022, we should see production levels at the previous levels before the pandemic. But more or less right now, as we are looking at the inventories in the United States and the other side of the world, and also the fact that the agreement actually even happened, it's more or less positive for the price, and would look for some near-term buying opportunities here on the markets. Right now, we have created lower highs, lower lows. We are creating a bear momentum. It might be a bear trap though. Let's wait and see for it, and probably some break from a trend line. For example, like right here, can be seen as interesting buying opportunity, and I would expect the prices below $70 a barrel to be good for the price of oil and overall for the market. So that's about the markets for the last week. If you look at the macroeconomic front, what we have to expect this week: Monday session, not really anything. Tuesday session, also we have some housing data from US. On Wednesday, we have stocks exchange, crude oil stocks change in United States. Nothing really interesting, not at all. ECB is having its meeting on Thursday, so that will be interesting. Some claims, some press conference, but nothing from United States. And on Friday, we have retail sales from UK and some bunch of PMI data from European countries. So that's about it from me for this week. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below the video, and I will see you guys next week.